today. We're going to talk, today Tearany Hendrix is going to talk. She's an LPN. She works at Freudenthal Home Health doing skilled nursing and other things. She's amazing. But anyway, today she's going to talk about personal protective equipment that we need to protect ourselves from the coronavirus. So I'm going to have her take it away.
Hello. Hi. Hi. Well, since I am 6 feet away from you so you guys can hear me, I'm going to remove my mask so you guys can hear me a little bit better. So one of the things that we'll talk about, I just use the hand sanitizer. Whenever we remove our mask, we want to remove it from the ear loops, not from the front. You want to take it off your ears to remove it. That way you're not touching anything close to your mouth. And here's a little handout. It talks about the different kinds of masks. We're seeing a lot of masks out in the public, different styles, homemade masks, N95 masks, which are the thicker ones. So there's some information. I'm not going to read all through that, but what I would tell you, the most important thing that we can do to protect ourselves, and I'm sure you've heard this, is wash our hands. So before you put your mask on, we want you to wash your hands or use hand sanitizer. When you take your mask off, you need to take your mask off and then wash your hands before you go to eat or drink or anything like that. So one of the important things when you have your mask on, it should keep you from touching around your face. The mask is also protecting as it's keeping any of your particles from spreading or getting passed to somebody else. The surgical masks that you'll see at the doctor's office or you'll see healthcare providers wear, those have a little bit more of a barrier. They're going to help kind of keep particles out as well. Not as well as an N95, but when we have a patient that does have the coronavirus, we are wearing full PPE or full protective gear with a gown, a N95 mask, sometimes even a face shield to protect our eyes, and of course gloves. And that is something that we wear one time going in to take care of that patient, and then when we come out we throw that away because we are with an infected patient. But as far as the general public, you know, wearing the mask anywhere you go is one of the number one things that's going to help you. And then knowing how to take the mask on. As far as putting the mask on, you want to go ahead and wash your hands, of course, and your mask needs to come up over your nose, and you need to put it around your ears. If you need to adjust it, you don't want to adjust it here by touching your mask. You want to adjust it by adjusting the loops here. Some kids, my kids, they will twist them. If it's too loose, they'll twist it to tighten it. And then you can use your hands and pinch right here on your nose to kind of get a little bit better fit. People with glasses tend to have a little bit of trouble. One little tip that I will tell you, if you have glasses, pull it up a little bit higher so your glasses sit underneath, and then it tends to not fog you up as bad. But that's really it. The most important thing is your hands, washing your hands, and then, you know, when you're out in public, if you can avoid eating and drinking out in public, when you haven't had a chance to wash your hands, that's a good way to keep from getting any kind of extra germs that you don't need. But that's really all. Do you have any questions?
Who does the mask protect?
The mask protects everybody else around you. So me wearing a mask is protecting everybody else around you. So you don't want to go and be around people who aren't wearing a mask. As a healthcare professional, certain masks that we wear going in to see patients, the mask protects us from getting any of those infected particles. So like that's why when I go in and see patients, because I don't know what they might have, I wear an N95 when I'm going to be close and in their space. Out in public, you know, I wear a surgical mask. My kids wear the handmade disposable ones, and then they just we wash them every day. They come home from school, we put them in a little Ziploc baggie, and we wash their mask each day. And we have several because it's hard to do it every day, but we have several masks. So if you have the handmade ones, I would say try to have more than one so you are able to wash those. But the important thing is make sure that you're covering both your nose and your mouth with your mask. Yeah,
Just how safe is it to eat out, dining?
That's really controversial. So to me, if the restaurant is able to provide the 6-foot distance and their waitresses or their staff is all wearing a mask, that's protecting you from their germs. And I would hope that back in the kitchen, as long as they're preparing the food in a safe manner by washing their hands, wearing a mask, and things like that, as long as there's that distance. So because you have to take your mask off to eat, obviously, in a restaurant, and I think it's a matter of your comfort level. You know, if you're comfortable with going out and removing your mask at 6 feet apart, then I think it's safe. You know, anytime you go out in public, it's impossible to know exactly where you maybe contacted the virus, because it could be everywhere. That's honestly, when you're out in a large group, that's why they tell you to limit your exposure to large groups, because that's when you're at most risk. If you keep your circle small, you keep your distance from people, that's how we're going to keep you safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but there's no guarantee the kitchen help or the
Right.
restaurant is.
Right. There's no guarantee unless somebody is right there watching them. But you know, any time you go out to eat, you're putting yourself at risk. You don't know if they're washing their hands when they come back from a break. You don't know if, you know, they're storing the food at a proper. I mean, and honestly, that's any time you go out into the public and eat, even without having a pandemic or the coronavirus. You know, that's why we have health inspectors and things like that that go into these restaurants. So it's a risk every time you go out. Any other questions?
If you're washing masks every day, you have to wash them in the washing machine, or you can hand wash them?
You can hand wash them. The main thing is if you can, put them in the dryer, because that higher heat will help kill the virus. So if you hand wash them, that's fine if they're delicate, but then you want to be able to put them into the dryer so that you can have the high heat to kill the virus.
Oh, I washed them. I just let it air dry. I didn't know I had to go in.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using soap and water, that's good, but just like anything else, that high heat is what's going to help kill the virus. So even if you can't necessarily wash it every time, if you can put it in the dryer with the high heat, that'll help.
Maybe iron.
Yeah, that's a good idea too.
Well, I was just thinking, if you get kids and they come home every day and you got to do a load of wash every day to wash their mask, you're doing a lot of.
That's the story of my life.
You got a ton of kids.
Yes. But I'll be honest, we have multiple masks, you know, they have one for each day of the week, it seems like,
Oh,
that they enjoy.
so how many kids do you have?
6 altogether.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
17 to 3.
Oh my.
Her life is exciting.
Oh yeah. So you probably have to do a load of wash every day anyway.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I have a good husband, though. He helps quite a bit.
Oh, that's good.
Any other questions? There's a lot of information on here. It talks specifically how to put the mask on and off. And then on this side, it goes in a little bit more detail if you like that kind of detail as far as, you know, the different kind of mask. In the alternative mask, when I say handmade, that's what I mean is the alternative ones that people are making out of cloth. The gaiters that they're wearing up over their nose, or the bandanas, that's just cotton cloth, so it's not going to be quite as effective from blocking things, but it's going to keep things from getting, you know, passed on to people. And then it talks about the surgical mask, and then of course the N95 mask that we wear when we have a positive case. So.
And we're required now to wear those in every house, right?
Yes. In the beginning, our home health agency, we were just wearing the surgical mask or some sort of a mask in. But now that the virus is spiking and we have more and more cases that we're not aware of, we are wearing, every healthcare professional, we're wearing an N95 when we go into the mask. That way, if there is somebody that has been exposed or has the virus, you know, we are protected so that when we go to see our next patient, you know, of course after washing our hands and all that kind of stuff, but we're less likely to be passing a virus. So we're protecting ourselves so we can protect our patients.
The virus, if you're wearing a mask, is the virus on the outside of the mask?
So the virus, it depends who has the virus. So if you have the virus, the mask is keeping you from spreading your particles and infecting other people. So it's keeping it kind of here, so when you talk, that's one of the biggest ways that people spread it is by talking, because you have some spit or air that's coming out, and so it keeps that from happening. Of course, coughing, sneezing is another way to spread it. So if you had the virus and you cough or sneeze, most of your particles are going to stay inside your mask. And that's why, you know, on the surgical mask, if we do cough or as we wear these, and we talk a lot, you'll have some moisture in there. That's why you want to have extra ones and have, you know, especially if you're using the surgical. The cloth ones sometimes will get a little damp. That's why you want to wash them and have new ones available. But it is actually protecting the people around you. So you don't want to be around people that aren't wearing their mask properly.
Say you had the virus and you weren't wearing a mask. So is that put on my mask?
It could get on your mask, yes. Now, the kind of mask that you're wearing has a little bit more of a protection than like a homemade alternative one because it is a surgical mask. But yeah, the idea of the mask is to keep from spreading the virus. So the mask doesn't necessarily protect you from getting it, but it creates another barrier to protect you from getting things around your mouth or breathing it in. So they help. They're better than not having anything, but they're still not completely, nothing is making anybody completely 100% safe from the virus. Anytime that you're out and about right now, we're at risk. You know, and even if you aren't out and about like a mall or a restaurant, even if you're at your home, people coming in and out of your home, things like that. So, you know, that's why we just have to wash our hands. We have to monitor symptoms and, you know, avoid being around anybody who is sick. And, you know, coming up, get your flu shot. I would say definitely get your flu shot if you can. So you can at least protect yourself from what you can. You know, right now we don't have any kind of protection other than these masks and washing our hands and avoiding large crowds. That's what we have to protect ourselves right now from the coronavirus. So hopefully as things go on, we'll learn more and we'll get, you know, more information so we can fight this a little bit harder. You know, right now I think I just saw 71 patients inpatient at Mosaic right now. 80 now?
68.
So
68
no,
here and 3 in
so
Maryville.
It's everywhere. I know recently the schools, they're going to a hybrid method come next week, but they're trying to eliminate exposure but also keep some normalcy for these kids and these families, you know, because there's a lot of mental health issues other than just the virus that are popping up with people being isolated and not having that contact with people. So it's a balancing act for sure. So, but you guys are doing something great by keeping active and staying healthy. You know, keeping your body healthy and moving is also going to help you too, both mentally and physically.
I've actually heard that if you have the coronavirus, it's best not to lay down and get real complacent, if possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you have a respiratory infection you know, you obviously are going to want to rest, but if you're laying flat and not moving, when we lay down or when we're not as mobile, we don't breathe as deeply. So we tend to breathe more shallow, and then our lungs kind of get lazy. And just like we have to exercise our arms and legs, I tell my patients all the time, we have to exercise our lungs. And ways that you do that is, one, get up and get moving, walk, because then that forces you to breathe deeper. The other thing is when you are sitting and watching TV, you know, take that time during a commercial break or to do some deep breathing exercises to exercise your lungs. And what I mean by that is take a deep breath in, hold it, and then blow it out. So what that does is it fully expands your lungs so that your lungs don't get lazy. So, anything else?
Very informative.
Yeah, if you have any questions that come up later, you know, just let Kelly know. She knows how to get a hold of me. Or if you guys, anything else.